This dream of being part of this team started when I was 3.5 years old.
Charles Leclerc is hands down one of the best drivers in the grid right now. He's shown time and time again that he can be on the same level as Max Verstappen, and many see him as a clear future world champion. But before we go there, we can't go without mentioning how the Monegasque got the weight of Ferrari's future on his shoulders.
Charles Leclerc has come brilliantly! He won in Spa! He wins in Monza! Charles Leclerc!
The iconic Italian team is banking everything on him. He's been compared to legends like Gilles Villeneuve, but more and more, he's starting to look like the next Jean Alesi. Leclerc blew everyone's minds in his first season with Ferrari, where he straight up outshone the four-time world champ Sebastian Vettel. Securing 7 pole positions and 2 wins, he owned the scene at the historic Italian team.
At him today, Charles Leclerc has coped brilliantly. He won in Spa. He wins in Monza. Charles Leclerc is the winner.
So the next year rolls around, and guess what? Leclerc's still bossing it in the team, leaving Vettel in the dust. After 6 seasons with Ferrari and no titles to show for it, Vettel quietly exits, realizing they've got a new hotshot to chase those future wins. Moments like the Monza victory in 2019 made Leclerc the Tifosi's darling. Finally, it felt like Ferrari had found its savior, ready to take them back to the top. Sebastian Vettel's replacement was Carlos Sainz, with the goal of being nothing more than the wingman. And sure, while Leclerc's the undisputed leader, Sainz has proven to be a worthy Ferrari driver too, sometimes even outshining Leclerc and pulling off some historic performances, like that epic win in Singapore during the 2023 season, the only one for a team other than Red Bull.
You know what? This is my first smooth operation in Ferrari. Smooth operator.
As of today, Ferrari's got one of the strongest pairs on the track. 2 drivers with plenty of F1 years left, crazy speed, and the ability to push their cars to the absolute limit. The only hitch? Ferrari hasn't handed them a winning car yet, so they're missing out on those championship battles. Remember 2022? Ferrari looked like they could go toe-to-toe with Red Bull early on. Leclerc and Verstappen were duking it out in some legendary races. But alas, Ferrari couldn't keep up the pace, mixed in with a bunch of screw-ups, and boom! Verstappen walks away with the championship from the second half of the season, no sweat.
Charles got a 5-second penalty there after the little sort of race we had with Sergio.
It's my fault, and if I keep doing mistakes like this, then I deserve to not win the championship.
So, when things click for Leclerc, he's basically one of the fastest drivers out there. The Monegasque is perhaps the quickest driver on the grid in a single lap. If you had to pick a driver to snag a pole with identical cars, he's probably the go-to choice. But here's the kicker that messes with Leclerc's vibe. Only 17% of his pole positions end up in victories. Out of the 23 times he rocked the front spot with Ferrari, he only sealed the deal 4 times, plus 1 race where he started somewhere other than pole. Leclerc has no trouble cracking up the speed in his Ferrari during qualifying, but turning those pole positions into Sunday wins, now that's a bit of a struggle, because the race day pace hasn't quite matched up. You know, no matter how many poles you rack up, if you're not sealing the deal with wins, what's the point for the championship, right? But is it all on Leclerc? Not really. There's a case to be made for Ferrari having far superior qualifying machines than on race day. Toss in the repeated goof-ups by Ferrari, strategy, reliability, operations, you name it, it's cost Leclerc. And to top it off, his car hasn't been a race day beast against the Red Bull. Tough break, mate. So here's the deal. Ferrari hasn't been able to provide the best car either, like we mentioned earlier. Despite being the most successful team in Formula 1 history, they haven't snagged a driver's title since 2007. So, each year, even though hope takes a nosedive, the pressure to reclaim the top spot just keeps piling on. You can't ignore the number of times they slap the nickname Il Predestinato, the chosen one, onto Leclerc. The Monegasque's got a mammoth responsibility on its shoulders. He's basically holding the future of Ferrari. But what if Ferrari's luck doesn't change? Will he stick to the plan, or is he gonna bail for another team? He's given his loyalty and all his talent to a team that, despite having all the resources in the world, hasn't kept up with the fastest teams for a good decade and a half. Leclerc has been with Ferrari since 2019, and he just inked a deal to stay with them beyond 2024, though we're still in the dark about how many more years. Looks like Leclerc is putting his entire future in their hands, which is a bit concerning. So, being the face of Ferrari fans, it messes with you big time. In the F1 team with the craziest fanbase worldwide, the most epic history and the most legendary status, pressure becomes the root of all evil, especially when it comes to screw-ups by the driver. Back when Leclerc was a newbie racing alongside Vettel with no pressure and the spotlight off, it was a breeze to shine. But man, that pressure slowly broke Vettel. He ditched Ferrari in a not-so-graceful exit, sneaking out the back door. And guess what? Vettel isn't the only one who went through the Ferrari pressure cooker. Look at Fernando Alonso, stuck with the red team for a solid 5 years without a car matching his skills. His F1 career only got its mojo back in 2023 when he hopped over to Aston Martin. And let's not forget the other drivers who got burned by the Ferrari pressure: Michele Alboreto, Jean Alesi, Alain Prost, Nigel Mansell. Despite giving the role, they couldn't snag any titles for Ferrari. It's been almost 2 decades since Ferrari tasted victory, and it's not the first time this has happened. They had a rough patch in the 60s to the late 70s and another dry spell during the 80s and 90s. And even though success might be lurking nearby, who's to say it won't drag on even longer? Over the decades, we're seeing a trend where dominant teams stay on top for ages. McLaren bossed it for 4 years in the late 80s and early 90s. Ferrari and Michael Schumacher owned the first half of the 2000s. Mercedes ruled the roost for a solid 7 years from 2014 to 2021, and now Red Bull's been rocking it for 3 years with no clear end in sight. More years of one team dominating means more years of drought for the rest. Tough break. Similarly, and despite Leclerc's seemingly secure spot at Ferrari, Sainz isn't as far from him as one might expect since the team signed a Spaniard in 2021. Could Ferrari give Leclerc the boot if he doesn't step up? The Monegasque wants a team that bends to his style, just like Red Bull does for Verstappen. Thing is, Red Bull's got this massive gap between its drivers, unlike Ferrari. Even though Leclerc usually stays ahead of Sainz, the Spaniard's had his moments of glory since he got hang of the team. Sainz even outshined Leclerc at times, beating him in 2021 and leading the team on occasions when Leclerc wasn't around, like in the Italian and Singapore Grand Prix in 2023.
At its absolute finest, Carlos Sainz, tactical brilliance.
Here's the kicker. Even if Sainz might not have the same natural speed as Leclerc, his ace in the hole is that he's got a knack for thinking on his feet and ignoring team orders if he thinks they're off. How many times has Leclerc missed a golden opportunity by dumping all the responsibility on the team? Check out Monaco in 2023, where he blew his shot at the podium by waiting for the team to decide on changing tires when it started raining. Now, Sainz has this knack for breaking down races from the inside, making calls on his own that turn out better than what the team had in mind. Remember his first win in Silverstone in 2022? All thanks to giving the team orders the old heave-ho. Let's not forget the classic "stop inventing."
Guys, I'm under pressure from Hamilton. Please don't ask these things. Please, stop inventing. Stop inventing.
Iconic stuff. And you know what? Even though Leclerc's the go-to guy to steer Ferrari to success now, he's not invincible, and he's got his moments of slacking off. And hey, it might not be Sainz snatching the Il Predestinato title from him. It could be some young driver climbing up the ranks, just like Leclerc did with Vettel, grabbing the crown of Ferrari and leaving him in the dust as another letdown. So, it's crunch time for Leclerc. He needs to step up big time, take charge of the team, and haul it to the top. After all, he's going all in on this. You know the drill. Nothing changes if nothing changes, right? Now with Ferrari, things definitely can't stay the same if they want to reclaim the throne. Leclerc needs to flip the script, make a bold move if he's serious about being a champ with Ferrari. Leclerc might be Ferrari's fancy plaything, but if you're curious about the driver's cool and insanely expensive toys, click right here. It's mind-blowing.